And right now we are joined by our Max Marcilla. He's on Rothbury Drive near Goshen Road intersection, which is experiencing several roadblocks. Max, what are you seeing from your vantage point right now?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Annalisa, a lot of roadblocks, really nothing more extensive than what we've seen since the investigation and all of this first started. Truthfully, the biggest change, the biggest development is the new information we learned from the fire chief about just what's happening next. So because that press conference scheduled for 10 o'clock, it started at 9:58. So just in case, and to reiterate, making sure we got every bit of that press conference, the very beginning, the update from the fire chief was that the large tower bucket trucks have started to arrive. They are on scene. They have some. They are expecting more. What those tower bucket trucks will do, once that plane, and we have been talking about this for the last hour, once that plane is secured to the tower, that's when the crews will take those bucket trucks, go up and attempt a rescue mission. The importance of making sure that plane is secure and really stuck tightly on that tower is, as they described it earlier, similar to a car crash when you're trying to rescue people out of the car is kind of dangling. You have to make sure the car is secure so that nobody, not the fire personnel, not the first responders, and especially not the people inside the vehicle, are in any sort of danger. So that's kind of the philosophy, but up 100 feet in the air. So most important thing they're going to do is secure that plane to the tower. That's when these bucket trucks that are here and are on scene will start to go up. Now, a couple of other important things as far as a timeline. No estimated restoration time as far as the power. That is because the fire chief said the priority is that plane, and the priority is the two people, the pilot and the passenger, in that plane. As far as that power, an estimated 120,000 Pepco customers in Montgomery County are right now without power. And the focus is on making sure the plane and safety first, then the power second, especially since they revealed some new information. We just learned that two hospitals here in Montgomery County, Holy Cross in Silver Spring and MedStar Montgomery Medical Center, are both operating under what's called what is the official? Limited capacity is what they called it. The county's emergency operations center is opening because of that, but basically what that means is those two hospitals, because of the power situation, can't take everyone. They have to decide exactly which patients, the highest priority patients, can be brought to the hospital and treated there. So this is a lot of new information that we have learned. We got a little bit of a timeline. They're hoping the plane could be secure soon. We don't have another scheduled press conference, but this is not going to be over tonight or probably even tomorrow. They say this could be a multi-day operation when it comes to the investigation. Once that plane is secured, there's a lot of questions that have to be answered, investigations that have to go on. But to kind of reiterate and summarize a lot of what they said and what I said very quickly, list of priorities: secure the plane, get the people off the plane safely, and in doing so, ensuring the safety of the crews going up there, restoring power, and then investigating. So that's what we have for now, and as we learn more, again, no scheduled news conferences for the rest of the night unless there's a big development, but as we learn more from people on the ground, from any officials who are willing to speak or have new information to provide, we will bring that to you live on air, and as Brian has been mentioning, online, dznewsnow.com. Annalisa?
All right, Max, before we let you go, though, describe to us the area that you're standing in. Is this a residential area? Tell the viewers just a little bit more about this location where this crash happened.
Yeah, so certain areas are. I mean, if you go down the road a little bit that way or a little bit that way, there are definitely houses. I think that's why there's a big number of people who have come here. You know, right here physically where we are, two shopping centers is the best way to describe it. The McDonald's that Daniel has been referring to, some restaurants that people have been picking up food, grocery store Giant is in the area, hair salons, liquor stores. That's kind of the area right here that we're in. But yeah, I mean, think about why these stores are there. It's because people live around here, and that's why so many people who live around here are still out here taking pictures on their cell phones, kind of observing the situation. So to kind of best describe it, definitely not a deserted area by any stretch of the imagination. This is a very shopping centers and houses and apartments nearby. That's kind of the best way to describe exactly where we are.
In terms of what you've been seeing the emergency responders doing, I know they mentioned either possibly bringing in a crane or using the power company's equipment. What are they doing exactly right now?
Yeah, so not to get too much in the weeds, but basically the process, because there's some discretion over who owns the tower and the investigations. For example, they said the Maryland State Police investigate all aircraft incidents in the state. So that's just kind of one example. It's a Pepco subcontractor that they might use the towers, the bucket trucks from them. They didn't make it clear exactly who would be going up, but it's kind of an all hands on deck, making sure the resources that are here and who has jurisdiction over certain parts, whether it's the county, whether it's the energy electric company, or whether it's the fire personnel, kind of making sure that whoever has jurisdiction over, a bucket truck or, securing the plane or restoring power, whoever has jurisdiction over that specific element is in charge.
Thanks so much, Max. Really appreciate your time there. Daniel Hamburg has also been on the scene since this happened roughly just before 6 p.m. We learned about this plane crashing into those power lines there. He's standing in that shopping center there where so many people have been gathering. Daniel, what can you tell us about what people are doing behind you? They've been trickling in and out.
Yeah, definitely a lot of people still here, still waiting around, watching to see if anything happens. Of course, as Max was saying, there are bucket trucks lining up to help shut off this power and rescue those people, but nothing at the moment is happening. But people are still standing around. I talked with one gentleman who has taken some flight lessons. I also talked with another guy who came up to me who has been a pilot for about 15 years, and he said he uses the airport right here a lot. And so there is, of course, at this point, everything is speculation, and we don't want to get into those weeds. But basically, as we were saying before, it appears from the photos that we saw and from the trajectory of where the plane was going that it appears that plane was pointing toward the airport and trying to land at the airport. The pilot I talked with, I showed him the video and pictures of the underbelly of that plane that's been kind of stripped away from what you can see now is that kind of gold insulation. But he noticed one of the wheels out. He believes that they probably put the landing gear down at that point. And from one angle, it appeared that the plane was just being held on by the propellers, but another angle you can kind of see that the wings are kind of wedged in that tower. So it is still a precarious situation. They still need to secure that plane before anything bad happens. But of course, they need to shut the power off to do that first. And this is going to be a multi-hour process to be able to do that. But again, a lot of questions still remain about how this happened, but it does appear from all the pilots and people who have been up in these planes using this airport, and it appears that the pilot was pointing toward the airport, possibly with his landing gear down, trying to land at that airport, instead crashing into these towers. But that's what we have right now, Annalisa.
All right, Daniel. And final question, I've been checking in to see what time those businesses close behind you, because I know people are relying on them for a little bit of power. Are they closing soon?
The open signs are still lit up. I have not had a chance to go over and ask any of these businesses, but the lights appear to still be on. And let me tell you, a lot of people are out here in their pajamas and their winter coats, and like we said, people 120,000 people out of power. So at this point, it's either stay inside, go in your car, or come down here to see what's going on. And this is really, for everyone here, a fascinating situation. I was using the word remarkable. The pilot I talked to said it is a miracle that these people are still alive. Seeing the pictures here, knowing this area, the terrain, and it is just quite miraculous.
Definitely everyone praying there tonight. Thank you so much, Daniel. All right, right now we're going to turn to our Brian Farrell. Tell us a little bit, Brian Farrell.
There you go. If I had his money,
you know,
Annalisa,
I am working on it.
That, so
but yes, Brian Farrell.
No problem.
Brian, thanks for joining us. You've been monitoring things on social media. How does it look right now? What are people saying? I still have a lot of people frustrated about the power being out for so long.
Yeah, and I mean, imagine too, I was just sitting here thinking, because you're thinking of all these, these people who are finishing up Thanksgiving and their football on a Sunday and just kind of watching, all of a sudden your power goes out. And of course, your initial thought is they'll probably have it back on pretty fast. But we know that that is not the case. We also know how wide the scope is at this point. We're talking about 120,000 power customers, Pepco has said. There are some different pictures. I know we're efforting. We had gotten one from Tim Pruss, who's an aerial photographer. But the other thing, in addition to just that plain image that really drives it home, is if you're on social media, you will see a lot of the dark pictures. That darkness really tells the story, especially for anyone who's got any kind of elevation looking towards really a lot of parts of Montgomery County at this point, because you may see something that is on a generator, you may see a stretch of lights that are intact, everything's lit up, and then it's just complete darkness around there. And I think that's a good time for a safety reminder, because along with that are traffic lights. So the reminder again is, if you are out there driving, if you don't have to be out on the road, obviously you don't want to be out there, but if you are out on the road, just keep in mind that if you come to an intersection and the lights are out, everybody stop, wait, let the other person go, alternate like that. You don't want to blow through those lights, and just be aware you may not see a light that you're coming up on, especially if you're in unfamiliar territory. I did check the last tweet we saw too from Montgomery County Public Schools was actually shortly before the news conference that Chief Goldstein held at 10 o'clock. It was at 9:53. The school district said it is still assessing the situation. It does still expect to have some kind of news this evening, is what it said. And again, we know that from earlier. Just to recap some of the things we've talked about, the Emergency Operations Center is activated in Montgomery County. So people are at the EOC working. Obviously, there are a lot of needs to meet right now. Some of the services obviously are being affected, the regular services, but your phone lines and things like that are fine. You obviously can call 911 if you have that emergency. Just be aware that, depending, it could take a little bit for them to kind of get around some stuff and take pausing, going through these intersections where there is no light. Again, the 24-hour, the crisis center that is there is not accepting walk-ins at this point because of the outage. However, same as with your 911 system, if you call the number for the crisis center, you will get through to someone and you will get support with that. The other thing that we're talking about are the hospitals. The chief had said there are 2 hospitals right now that have limited service as far as people coming in the intake. Max had touched on that. I know Annalisa had mentioned earlier too. MedStar Montgomery Medical Center had mentioned specifically that would include the emergency department with people coming in. They're not accepting there. So again, that is standard for a lot of these situations where you might have a power outage. Clearly, they are able to operate. They would be on some kind of backup power generators, but to accept a regular number of people coming in is just not a good idea for everybody who is already there, and certainly for the people who would be coming there. So just to be aware of that there could be a situation where if you're needing a hospital, you're needing that medical assistance, you may wind up rather at a different hospital than what you're expecting or that you would be used to going to. We do want to say too, again, just recapping where things are, they're expecting to have some bucket not towers. I'm trying to think of tower. Bucket truck. They're expecting to have some of those buckets on the bucket trucks in place to get them up and start working on securing that aircraft, because we talked about this at 9 o'clock. The chief kind of reiterated some of this and kind of where things were in the process. But there are 2 very specific things that they need to make happen right at the site where this took place and where that plane is stuck in those lines and against that tower. They need to make sure that the plane itself is secure. Again, 2 people still are inside that plane. This is not a plane where people have gotten out and they're just worried about a plane that is now stuck in this tower. So they have to make sure that the plane itself is secure. They also have to make sure that there is no power at all, whether it's some kind of a residual power or static electricity, before crews really get up there and do the work. And again, that work is being handled by a Pepco contractor, someone who specializes in these towers and works with them. And we have a lot of agencies, federal, state, and local, who are really working together on this. The investigations typically too, there are usually at least a couple investigations that take place that will look into exactly how this happened, what was going on moments before. We talked about whether weather could have been a factor in that. Certainly it is in this operation at this point, making sure that that plane is not moving around too much. But again, the emergency workers have been in regular contact with the 2 people who are inside that plane. And at this point, as far as they have been able to tell us, they are uninjured. So that's why we're talking about whether you want to use the word miracle or, Daniel had said remarkable. The fact that there are 2 people who are in a plane stuck essentially in wires in a tower like we're looking at right now, that in itself is incredible. And Elisa mentioned earlier, too, the fact that it ended up where it did and maybe not on the ground where people could have been, into a building where people could have been. As it was approaching the airport, it seems, the airport there in Montgomery County. So we're going to keep an eye on some of the social feeds. Again, I think the Montgomery County schools one, the public schools, that's going to be a big one because you have a lot of parents out there, and obviously that's the ripple effect. You have students who aren't in class. You have potentially the teachers and all who may not be there, but you also have people then who may need childcare. It affects the work schedule. There's a lot. There's a big ripple effect when you talk about the number of students who are in Montgomery County. And we're talking about Montgomery County public schools. A lot of private schools over there too, so people will be watching that. And certainly with your public schools, you have the school district putting it out, and you would have the same from your private schools, or if you are part of a system as far as like the Catholic school system or an Episcopal school system, just be in touch with the people who are running the school there for your child, and make sure where things stand with that for tomorrow and how operations are affected.
All right, Brian. Well, we do know, again, 120,000 customers are impacted by the power outages caused by this small plane crash today. We've been on the air since 8 p.m., so 2.5 hours now providing live coverage. Our crews we would provide a live picture, but our crews are charging their batteries. So this is video from moments ago, probably about an hour ago, of what we were seeing there. It's still foggy tonight as fire crews work to rescue those 2 individuals in the plane. Again, the pilot, Patrick Merkel, 65 years old from D.C. The passenger, Jan Williams, 66 years old from Louisiana, hanging in there tonight. As they work to try to reach them. They are more than 150 feet in the air. Just moments ago, I saw on social media as well, Montgomery County Fire tweeting some reminders on how to conserve your phone battery. If you are without power tonight, tens of thousands of people are without power tonight. Keep your phone on low power mode. That if you have an Apple device, you can go into your settings under battery percentage. You can hit that low power mode. That will conserve your battery a little longer. They're also reminding you about an extra charger that you may not be thinking about. If you are without a charger, you can go to your laptop, use the USB, plug into the laptop, then you can plug into your phone. That can work for iPhone or Android to get your phone to work. If you have some juice on your laptop, they're saying to prioritize your phone, obviously, over the laptop, given the circumstances that we are in tonight. Right now, we're going to get over to Derek Bowen, our meteorologist, to look at the conditions tonight. Derek, how are things looking? We know emergency responders saying this can be tricky because it's a little slippery tonight given the fog that we saw.
Yeah, and it's not just, the voltage, that danger of it, but you're also going to have to consider the weather conditions along with that. And just to give you an idea of how many people in Montgomery County are without power, around a quarter to a third of Montgomery County residents are without power tonight. And of course, they can also catch us live here on DCNewsNow.com. We have a live feed up there as well. But for tonight, we're definitely dealing with some very interesting weather. While we don't have a lot of visibility, a lot of fog at the surface, just above the surface there, we do have, of course, relative humidity amounts is around 99%, right there at 100%, and with winds at the surface, they're generally around 5 miles per hour or so. You can see there at 3 miles per hour, so that is definitely causing a little bit of that fog, especially if the areas about 100 feet up are not experiencing that wind. Temperatures currently around 51 there in Montgomery County. That dew point's awfully close right there at 51, making that relative humidity at around 100%. Our high temperatures today eventually rose up to 58 degrees after wondering if we were actually going to make it up to 58 today because of all the rain that came in, but once we head into the end of the day, the rain exited out of the region. We still had that southwesterly flow coming on in that helped warm our temperatures up from around 52 up to around 58 this evening. So I got closer to our high temperature for today here in D.C. Nonetheless, temperatures down to the south even warmer into the 60s. Now, it is going to be really good because of our weather for today. We're not going to see a massive drop in temperatures overnight tonight and into tomorrow. Temperatures tomorrow are going to be in the 50s. If this was Wednesday with another system coming through, we're going to have some more rain come our way on Wednesday with that cold front. Our temperatures for Thursday only going to be around 44 degrees, so a massive drop in temperatures once we head into Thursday and Friday. And Friday morning, we're talking temperatures into the upper 20s and lower 30s, all below the freezing point. So it's going to be very chilly then as we head after Wednesday. After that cold front comes through, it's going to give us a little bit more rain than what we saw today, as well as a bit of wind along top of it. Much stronger fronts going to coming through, while we have relatively light winds with this system that move through. Wednesday will be a bit more to look at. But looking throughout the day, we had, of course, those showers move into the morning hours. They were relatively a steady shower in through the afternoon. By the time the afternoon came and went, going into the evening, most of us were relatively quiet. This is at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Just had a few storms across southwestern Pennsylvania. Other than that, our area was relatively quiet, but we had that lingering drizzle as well as that fog just above our heads. No driving from Hagerstown over to Frederick along I-70, getting up into going on to South Mountain. Had a lot of issues with that fog which caused traffic to build up from Frederick all the way back to Hagerstown. So definitely saw some massive travel rows all across the area on this Sunday. As we head throughout this evening, hopefully maybe we'll start to see some clearing a little bit here and there. We're going to stick with mostly cloudy skies for the most part. Eventually those clouds will begin to break. We still, of course, have that fog just above our heads. We're at temperatures at 55 by 11, 54 as we head towards the midnight hour and onward into the 1 o'clock hour this evening. So something to look forward to. Tomorrow we'll have temperatures at around 55 degrees. Winds will eventually switch from the southwest this evening, eventually start to turn out of the northwest as we head into tomorrow. We'll have winds at around 11 miles per hour. It's going to be a bit breezy as we head throughout the day for your Monday. Temperatures in the morning going to be in the 50s. By midday, though, we're at a pair of 5s, and by the time the afternoon comes and goes, we'll have those temperatures cooling down closer towards our low temperature as we head in towards Monday night into your Tuesday. So we have that going here on tap. Highs tomorrow, it's going to be sort of like today. Going to be a little cooler back down into southern Maryland per se, but here in D.C. temperatures are going to be very close to where they were. We won't have to deal with all the rainfall and the dreariness from that, so that at least is good. Tomorrow we'll see a mix of sun and clouds. Temperatures will be into the low to mid 50s around the metro. Definitely going to be a pretty nice day. Temperatures going to be close to the average for this time of year, getting close to 60 for Fredericksburg, but I think we will fall a bit short there in the Chesapeake region. Looking at your 7-day forecast, there's that rainfall coming Wednesday, cooling off Thursday and Friday.
All right. Thank you so much, Derek. Really appreciate that. Well, you know, Montgomery County Fire and Rescue has been dealing with a lot this month. We know earlier this month they also dealt with a deadly explosion, and they had a large response to that. So this is coming less than a month away. They're dealing with another large response to another situation involving a lot of emergency crews. Let's get out to our Daniel Hamburg now. Daniel is on the scene with the emergency responders. Daniel, you were also at the site of that explosion when they dealt with that earlier this month. Would you say there are more responders right now than you saw there?
I would say so, absolutely. You know, two different situations here, but two big things that happened. Obviously, we are in a county of 1 million people. They are prepared for these situations. They have the technical response teams needed to rescue these people as soon as that power is off. Of course, there is tertiary support from DC rescue crews as well. The entire metro area here is here to help in any capacity that they can. Of course, they have the command center here set up, which they, of course, had a command center set up at the explosion, too. In this instance, as opposed to looking for any potential survivors in a pile of wreckage, they have 2 people stuck in a plane up here. And I will mention, this is not the first plane crash that I've covered. There was a plane crash, I recall, that I covered in Pennsylvania. A plane crashed into the woods. Both people inside got out okay. It is possible to survive these things, and that's what we're seeing here. Luckily, I mean, really luckily, that plane is somehow wedged into this tower, and it is holding on essentially by a thread. But in order to secure that plane, they do need to shut that power off, and we have not seen any crews yet come up. And it's, I mean, obviously kind of hard, honestly, to see through this fog, but we have not seen anybody go up from my perspective or from Max Marcellus' perspective to try to shut that off. The fog is really, really thick in this area around the plane. I'm sure you've seen from some of the live pictures of this plane. It's hard to see, and that makes it more difficult, as Chief Goldstein said a little bit earlier tonight, talking about it makes things a little more wet, a little more slippery, and that much more precocious to be able to rescue these people. We have not heard an update. As Max said, we're not going to hear an update unless something major happens this evening. But as of right now, it doesn't appear that the plane has moved all that much. You can only imagine what the 2 people in that plane are feeling at this moment, trapped inside. But as we can see right behind us, there is a crane. We do see. So I don't know if Joe can zoom in there a little bit. Between the buildings there, we can see a crane is going up there with a bucket attached on the end of it. So it appears that they are starting right at this moment to try to cut that power. Obviously, there's a lot of technical terms around that. That's the simplest way to put it. But as Chief Goldstein, the Montgomery County Fire Chief, said earlier, this is a manual operation that they will have to go and clamp off different sections of that tower and cut off that power. But you can see that is a crane with 2 parts. You see that arm there raising right now, almost perpendicular to the ground. There's some cheering in the crowd right now as that worker, presumably a Pepco worker or a contractor with Pepco, going up. And this is the most progress that we have seen all night here to try to shut that power off. As we've been saying, they can't start that rescue. They can't secure that plane until that power is shut off. And I mean, from our perspective right here, it literally looks like the plane is floating in the middle of the air because of how dense this fog is. So keep in mind that worker up in that bucket truck really has his or her work cut out for him or her to be able to do that. But it appears right now that that bucket is about at the level of the plane at this moment. Annalisa, that's what we're watching. You're watching the same live picture I am.
Daniel, I am back here clapping. I am so happy to hear that. I am just as happy as the people on the ground that you heard cheering there. Those people have been more than 100 feet in the air since just before 6 p.m. I'm sure they are so excited for something to happen here soon. Daniel, I'm also wondering, because we just heard from Montgomery County Schools that more than 40 schools and 6 central office facilities are without power, affecting a number of key services such as maintenance, buses, and food services. So I'm wondering if you saw any parents out with students, with their children, if you're hearing from them. I'm hearing from some of them under the comments on Montgomery County Schools Twitter page saying they just want to know what's going to happen tomorrow. Are you seeing any children, any parents out there tonight?
Oh yeah, we've seen kids, I'd say as little as 3 years old on up, and a lot of families out here, parents and their kids. Of course, you know, we've been talking about how many more than 100,000 customers out of power, and this is across the county. And what's interesting, and I've been telling people this, I know Montgomery County. I'm from Montgomery County, so I'm no expert on how the power works, but I do know when I was growing up that you could have power in my house and look behind me and there was a house with power. So it's very interesting talking about the power outages in this area. This shopping center is totally on right now, power in every business here, but we know that there are a lot of schools, households, and other businesses throughout the county far away that have been impacted by this crash. And one of the things that was mentioned earlier was we're not exactly sure how when this plane crashed, how that affected the way the power is distributed through these lines. So that's why they have that civil engineer, that electrical engineer here to kind of assess that damage. But to your question, a lot of families out here, surely there's going to be a lot of kids that are out of school tomorrow. We'll have to see if school is canceled or if they are able to do some kind of virtual session as we've seen the last several years. But that power won't be restored for quite some time. We heard one gentleman tell us that his house in particular, about 4 miles away here, he's not expecting power until at least 7 a.m. is what he was told about an hour ago.
Thanks so much, Daniel. Again, so nice to see. Moments ago, we saw a crane going up. Another step in this rescue operation, in this effort to reach the pilot identified as Patrick Merkel, 65 from D.C., and the passenger identified as Jan Williams, 66 from Louisiana. Right now, we're going to go to Max Marcilla. He's talking to someone who lived in the area for more than 40 years now. Max, hey there.
Annalisa, hi, good evening. Once again, here with Jeff Schmidt, who we've been talking for the last couple of minutes as Daniel was kind of showing some of the what's going on up in the tower. But Jeff has lived here for a couple of decades. You know this area so well. You know how close it is to the airport. And you said this is not the first time it's happened. Something like this has happened.
Yes, it's happened numerous times. 4 plus this one's 5. When I lived here as a kid, behind my house, it was a field. I ran through the field. There was a guy, he had a plane that he had built, and he was dead in the plane. We ran through the field, and I couldn't believe it. My legs were bleeding. I ran through the briars to help him.
Now, you said to me that the most important thing is that right now the 2 people up in that plane, they are alive, and the fire officials are doing everything they can to get them out. But I'm sure given this area and where it is in proximity to the airport and what you just described, I mean, what goes through your head when you see something like this, when you hear about something like this?
I just hope that people are still alive, and this is great because the planes crash, but you can replace the plane, you can't replace the lives. And, if it's error, it's error. Everybody makes errors, but thank God they're alive,
Daniel just mentioned, and you all at home saw some of the images of the crane right there. It's a little over our shoulders. I know we talked a little bit before Annalisa came to us, but talking about sort of the steps, the secure the plane to make sure it's stable, and then you rescue the people. From your experiences remembering these plane crashes, what are these steps like, and what's it like for the people out here watching?
Well, from what I was told when I talked to the Pepco guy many years ago, he said we have to ground everything so that we can go and rescue whoever's stuck in the plane, or if they're not, so we don't get electrocuted. We have to ground everything. We have to take all the precautions for us, for safety, and for safety for them is the biggest thing, key. You just can't jump right in and just go run up there and grab. You got to take all the precautions for securing the plane, securing the wires, and securing the people. So.
All right, well, Jeff, thank you so much for providing some of your insight from your years here and kind of giving us a lay of the land. I'm going to let you go, whether that's home to power or just to observe a little more. But thank you so much, Jeff. Appreciate your time. And Lisa, this is obviously still is such an active scene. You know, Daniel was showing some of the images. You might be seeing them on your screen now of the crane right now. It's so foggy and it is hard to see, which you can imagine what it's like for the crews up there right now. But clearly this is such an integral moment in this hours-long development. So Annalisa, we'll send it back to you and see what we're learning from back there.
All right. Thanks so much, Max. Really appreciate that. And it was so interesting to hear that gentleman recount just how many times something like this has happened in that area since he's lived in the area for more than 40 years now. Right now, we are going to get over to our Brian Farrell.
We'll get it. We'll get it. We got a little more time.
Brian,
Brian
hi.
Farrell, yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you. But Brian, you've been checking in on the power outages and how.
Well, that and I will say when we talk about power outages, Mimi, one of our digital producers, said some of her friends in Montgomery County have seen their power come back on. Now, I would say put an asterisk on that because you know sometimes that will happen in a power restoration process. It's possible. Power could go out again, but again, when you're talking about close to 120,000 at one point without power, even just a handful, it is not a lot. But the one thing we were talking about power outages, and I said you talked about phones, charging phones up, keeping them ready to go. And I actually thought about this earlier in the night, particularly when you talk about the end of Thanksgiving weekend, all that food. I mean, you've got people, again, 120,000 customers roughly without power. They've got homes filled with food, refrigerators, freezers, maybe not if they ate it all for Thanksgiving, but a couple things to keep in mind, and this is coming from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, and this is absolutely true. If you think about it, if you keep the door closed, that absolutely will help prolong the life of the food that's both in the refrigerator and in the freezer. If you have 4 hours in the refrigerator, you're definitely good with that. Now, if you hit the 4-hour mark, they do advise trying to get ice, putting that in a cooler, keeping it well packed. Your freezer's the big one because we know a lot of people freeze, buy ahead, do all kinds of meal preps and all even ahead of time. If you have a freezer that's half full, you're looking at about 24 hours where you're good. 48 hours. 48 hours in a full freezer. Let me stop. 48 hours in a full freezer, 24 in the half full, which makes sense. That's where I was going originally, but I kind of got myself mixed up there with the numbers. So if you have a fully packed freezer, because think about it, all that stuff's frozen, so you've really got ice and ice and ice and everything like that. If your freezer is full, 48 hours, you're good. Don't open it. That's if you don't open it. 24 hours in a half full freezer. Now, after the fact, and we know there's going to be that after the fact, hopefully we're not talking days, but if we do, and even after that, don't taste something. If you're thinking about it, it's like, I'm just going to, don't do it. If there is a doubt, you want to throw that out. You want to put any kind of perishable food in the garbage if it's been 4 hours without power. Those are things like your meat, your fish, your fruits, vegetables, eggs, milk, things like that. Don't risk it on that. And then also, check the temperatures of the food in the cooler, which may take, again, a thermometer. You may not be able to gauge exactly. It may be cool to the touch, but you want to check the food that's been put in that cooler or whatever you're using for it, where you've added kind of that cold source. You want to make sure that it is above, if it's above 40 degrees. So in other words, if it's gotten a little bit warmer and it's kind of questionable, again, don't chance it, just throw that out. And then if you do have an appliance thermometer in the freezer, if it's still at 40 or below, you can safely refreeze, cook thawed frozen food that contains ice crystals or is 40 degrees or below. So again, if there's any kind of question with that, I mean, it's not worth it because you can get sick if the food is not kept frozen or kept cold like that. But again, CDC, I mean, these are the basic life things, day to day that you're thinking about. It's like, I've got all the food. I mean, that's usually where my first thought goes. It's like, oh gosh, I just went out shopping. I've got all that stuff in the freezer or all that stuff that's in the refrigerator. So keep that in mind. Again, some of the power tips for recharging, putting it on low battery mode, if you're able to do that. We do realize a lot of people who are without power right now really aren't seeing us, but we know friends, family, and all are there. So when you're checking on people, even tomorrow, just to see how they're faring, just remember some of those things. Good tips with that. Again, we're waiting. Montgomery County Public Schools has not officially put out anything yet as far as what tomorrow is looking like. We do know 40 schools affected, 6 facilities for their admin end of it. that are affected. And they did say services, which specifically they mentioned maintenance, buses, and then also food service, because you're going to have kids, even if you were able to go to school, you're not going to have the food prep that takes place in the cafeteria if there's no power. So we're still waiting, and I know that's a big one. And at least you had mentioned a lot of parents online are just kind of like, just make the call, like let us know, just we can go to bed, we know.
Yeah, a lot of parents hanging on the edge of their seats trying to figure out what's going to happen next. And for more on the work and school week forecast, let's check in right now with Derek Bowen. Derek, how's it looking for tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow is looking okay for now. We do have a wind advisory in place for some of the more mountainous counties off towards the west, going into western Highland, western Grant, and western Pendleton counties there until 6 a.m. Tomorrow morning. So they are seeing a lot more wind with this system pushing on through compared to where we are right now in and around Montgomery County, where we're seeing winds generally at around 5 miles per hour. Back off into those highest elevations to the west, we're dealing with winds up to 40 plus miles per hour. And I think for the most part, those winds are generally going to stay up into the mountains, into the valleys. But we do have to watch out, especially as we head over the next few hours going into tomorrow. We're going to start to see more of that wind start to pick up here in our area. By 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, we're going to see those winds start to amp up just a bit once we head into the morning commute. So we'll start to see those winds start to turn from the southwest, moving up to the northwest per se, and we'll see those winds gradually getting a little bit stronger per se as we head towards morning, getting closer with wind gusts up to 24 miles per hour. So it will be relatively breezy as we head towards morning. Nonetheless, we are going to be tracking this as we head into the overnight time frame. We're looking at, of course, those temperatures to fall into the 50s overnight, eventually a little bit further into the 40s once we head into early tomorrow morning. We're at 55 degrees by 11 p.m. this evening, 54 by 12 a.m. by 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. We're looking at a temperature around 54 degrees or so. Lows tonight are going to be into the mid to upper 40s throughout most of the region. As we head in towards your forecast for Monday, we're looking at a high temperature of 55 degrees. Those winds will be breezy tomorrow, especially into the morning hours. 11 mile per hour winds with gusts up to 20 or so. We're looking at those winds coming out of the northwest compared to the southwest at the current rate. Starting out the morning into the 40s, eventually getting up into the 50s by the middle of the day. All in all, temperatures for your high temperature for tomorrow. For the D.C. Metro, relatively seasonable for the time of year. We're talking temperatures into the mid-50s per se. Back off towards the west and the higher elevations where they have that wind advisory right now, they're only going to make it up into the upper 30s for tomorrow. So just to compare, just a few miles from Cumberland out into areas of Garrett County and the western portions of Maryland, it's going to see a deep temperature drop there in those parts. DC Metro for tomorrow, we're looking at, of course, those clouds for the start of the day. Then things will start to clear. We're looking at, of course, temperatures into the low to mid 50s for the D.C. Metro. We could get close to the 60s for Fredericksburg, but I think we'll fall just a bit. We have that rain, though, coming on Wednesday before things really cool off quite a bit.
And Derek, just one more time, in that specific area where they're doing the rescue, around, let's say, a couple hours from now, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., what's the temperature looking like?
The temperatures are around 1 or 2 a.m. It's going to be into the low 50s, going to start to be getting up into the upper 40s. Winds could start to pick up as we head towards morning as well, so that's also going to be something that the emergency officials that are going to have to look out for as well regarding safety.
Great. Thanks so much, Derek. You've been watching DC News Now at 10, where we've been providing you with live coverage of this small plane crash and rescue operation. We'll be back with more.